This week on World Traveler Cooking, we're heading into the holiday season with Lithuanian Christmas herring salad. This is a dish which has a bunch of variations. Probably every household has its own variation. This one is a composite of a few different things I've seen in different videos, recipes, and so forth. So, as mentioned before, Christmas is a fasting day, in Catholic Lithuania at least, and consequently several things cannot be consumed on Christmas. These include meat, eggs, and dairy. As a result, fish takes a primary role, and typically in a Christmas dinner you'd expect to see 2 or 3 or 4 different fish dishes, as you have a significant number of different foods typically around the Christmas table. And it's taken me a long time to figure out the best way of handling this because, you know, some ingredients are going to be a little different, but now I've done my best in coming up with this. So, the first thing you're going to need are salt herring fillets. You don't want to use pickled herring for this salad, I don't think, and I don't think you want to use fried herring. But salted herring fillets should be fine. The second thing you'll need are some carrots. Then you'll need some onions. And then people use a variety of optional ingredients. Some people put apples in it, some people put raisins. I'm going to put some raisins. Some people put various herbs or seasonings. You could, for example, fry it with a bay leaf or something like that. I might end up doing that as well. But yeah. So these are the ingredients. This is a cooked and then cooled salad, so let's go ahead and get started. So before we get into things, as a matter of prep, I have finely diced my onions. Some people say julienne them, but I decided to do them this way. I have shredded my carrots, and I've rinsed the salted fillets off with water. The problem is that I can't get fresh herring fillets, of course, and these may be a bit salty otherwise. So, done that. I've also soaked these raisins in hot water for about 10 minutes to partially reconstitute them. So from there, I'm going to heat up my pan, and we'll go from there. Be back when the pan's hot. So, our pan is now relatively hot, so I'm going to add some vegetable oil. And then I will add the onions and the carrots. And I'm going to stir and saute these for a while. And basically going to let them slowly cook down. Once they've cooked down a bit, I'll be back. So now that this has been frying for a few minutes, we can keep frying it like this, or we can start adding things like, for example, the raisins and stuff like that. I'm going to go ahead and add these raisins now, and then we're just going to keep frying. Really, for quite a while. We're going to let the we're going to cook this on a medium heat until really the onions kind of semi-disappear and the carrots are very soft. So that'll probably be another 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll set this aside to cool. Also, it's worth noting that in the event where I wasn't using salted herring, I would probably salt this here. But the salt in the dish is going to come from the herring, so I'm not going to bother that. Okay. So I'm going to just keep stirring this for a while longer, and then I'll be back. All right. So This is looking very, very, very well cooked, and it's starting to stick a little bit, which is a pretty good indication that it's cooked about as far as it's going to go. And so I'm going to take this off and let it cool. So I'll be back once this has cooled. Okay, so while the veggies were cooling, I went ahead and sliced these fillets into small strips, just because, at least from what I've seen, that seems to be the most common way of doing it. Some people seem to chop the herring up and mix it with the salad. I suppose there's some practical value for this, but we're going to stick with sort of the traditional presentation. And we're going to spoon the salad up over here on top of the herring. And here we have the salad. Now, we could then either serve this individually, but more often I think we'd put it just on the table and let people help themselves. So that's what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to do a taste test. Now, before I do the taste test, I want to give one note. I ended up having to redo this once redo the herring part once because since these are heavily salted herring fillets, I didn't quite understand how much you had to soak them. So I have now soaked the herring for about 15 hours, and it's not tasting too salty. So that's just one thing you need to be aware of. At any rate, now for the taste test. So this is really interesting. The herring still has a little bit of salt in it even after soaking. And the whole fishiness of the herring comes through in fairly clear ways. At the same time, the carrots and onions complement this. This is a really, really, really nice dish. Definitely something I intend to make again many times. So, if you find this content interesting, I hope I've earned a subscription from you, and please click the drop down so you can be notified of any new videos I produce. Additionally, please like this video if you find it useful. And I want to invite you or anybody else, if you see some way you would make this differently, to please post it in the comments. My videos typically are efforts at mixing of different recipes in a particular genre. This one is included in that. So everybody's going to have their own variations, and I'd love to hear from you about how you do it differently. At any rate, recipes in the description. Bon appetit, and see you next week.